let's yap about some of my favorite and least favorite books of 2025. Least favorite, so that we can end off on a light note of my most favorites of 2025. In my least favorites, it's gonna be my 1 and 2 stars that I gave, and I gave roughly 12 1 and 2 stars, and that's not including any books that I DNF'd. Yes, I rate books that I DNF'd because if they were so bad for me, that is still like an opinion that I have, but I'm sorry if that's unpopular, but let's talk about it. I'm gonna go off of, and if you guys are wondering what I'm looking at, it's the books I read in 2025. I actually keep a tracker right here, and so I put their review on there. I put like a star rating on there, and so I'm just gonna look to see where I have it so that I can remember what book it was. And then I tend to remember what I read decently well ish, foreshadowing, but I want to just talk a little bit about each one, but it's going to be very short because I'd rather focus on the books that I really liked this year. First book is actually 19 for me, which was Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte, and that was an audiobook, and I gave it 1.75 stars, and I was trying to read classics this year. I was trying to read a couple, and this just wasn't for me. It was a 1.75 star, and it just, I think I'm gonna cop out and just say I think it's because English is my second language that it just does not sound, that a lot of the writing just didn't sound right. The second book is within the same vibe, which is To the Lighthouse by Virginia Woolf. This was book 33 for me, and this was a physical book, and I gave this 2 stars. I could see where there was a lot of really good parts of this book. It's just, yet again, it was another moment of the writing. And so I think it's just because of the time it was written, it just wasn't for me. It was Shogun Part 2 by James Clavell. And I gave that 2 stars, and that was a physical book. And I actually was very, very let down by this book. I picked up this book because I was super excited to watch the show on Hulu, but I had heard nothing but good things about it. And honestly, this book just kind of felt like a bunch of men sitting around at a table and talking about what they went through. And I don't mind it all the time if there's more aspects to it, but I just wasn't expecting that on how long the book was. And so that's why it was a 2-star book for me. And it was Middle of the Night by Riley Sager. I gave this 1.75 star, and that was a physical book for me as well. And it didn't do anything for me. I think that at times the writing wasn't very well done, and the story just didn't feel full for me. And so I think that like maybe if I reread it, maybe I could like it again, but honestly, it wasn't it. It just wasn't, for a thriller, it wasn't doing anything for me that felt new, but maybe I'm being too mean. I don't know. 40, which was God of the Woods by Liz Moore, and that I gave a 2.75 star, and that was a library audiobook. And the best way I can describe it is rich people doing rich people things and being unlikable. And usually I like unlikable characters, but it just, I don't know, it just wasn't for me. It did not hit as well as I thought it would. It's still rated decently for me. I think even a 2-star isn't that bad. Book 44, which was Listen for the Lie by Amy Tintera. This one I gave 2.75 stars. It was a library audiobook, and honestly, same vibe, but also this one I disliked due to the fact that this was the personification of true crime in the way that I dislike it most, in the fact that like such sucky things happen to people, but it's played for entertainment instead of actual like sadness. And I guess to a degree, like every kind of media is entertainment to a degree, but there's just a way to do it that seems better, and this one just didn't feel respectful. And I get it was fake people, it was all fake people, but it rubbed me the wrong way, because that's truly what's wrong with that kind of media, is the fact of how much it's played up for entertainment. I still rated it a lot higher than some other books that I liked a little bit more, and I think it's just because at times the writing was well done, but also the characters, which was also rated at the same level, was just 2.75. And this one was book 47 for me. This was a library audiobook, and it was I Hope This Doesn't Find You by Anne Liang. This one I understand there's a lot of caveats, so maybe it's not my least favorite book, but it's my least rated book. And in reality, I know I shouldn't be reading that many YAs. I'm older, but I don't like too much of the spice that comes with some of these books, so I thought it would be cute. I just don't like the story of people hating each other, then falling for each other, but then like a lot of the structure that I just didn't get in this when it came down to schooling. And 49 for me, and it was House Moms by Jen Lancaster. And this one I gave a 1.75 star. And this one I actually picked up at the library book just at random, and it was good to a degree. There were moments in this book that I really liked it. I liked the silliness of it. It did. Honestly, this just felt like reality TV in a book. So it's not that I hated it. And I don't know why it's on. I guess it's because it's least rated, because it's still fun. It was fun. It was like a reality show, but it just wasn't good because the writing felt not good, but it was still fun. I don't know. If you want a trashy read, just read that. I think it was fun. Book 50, which was The Shining by Stephen King. I gave it 1 star, and that was a physical book. It was on my 25 of 2025, and honestly, I've read enough of Stephen King's books to form an opinion that I just don't like his writing style, and that I don't like the way he portrays women, people of color, and children. I think I'm good. I don't see an importance of his books. I guess I like the movies of what they do, but that's also your screenwriter and your director. I'm doing the work there. 54, and I gave this 2 stars, and it was a library audiobook, and honestly, I should probably have given it less stars, and it was Yes Please by Amy Poehler. This book made me look at Amy Poehler in a side eye kind of way. The amount of people she surrounded herself with that are bad people are insane. You're complaining about having to write this book. You're complaining about having to do the jobs you're given. I think I should have rated this lower. And honestly, this is one of my least favorite books of the year. The Christmas Tree Farm by Laurie Gilmore, and that was book 57 for me. I gave it 1 star, and it was a library audiobook. I read this in October because it came available to me, and I was too dumb to push the hold. I don't like it. I don't think the story was really badly written. Spice was not for me. The book looks pretty, but it wasn't for me. It's sad because those books look cool, but it genuinely feels like TikTok in a book because it just takes all of the popular topics and just meshes them into a book. So let's move on. And then the last book, so these are 12 books that I just were my least favorite for the year. And so the 12th book is Nothing Like the Movies by Lynn Painter. This was book 66, and it was a library audiobook, and this was 2 stars. And honestly, I truly believe that I gave it the rating I gave it because of how much I loved the first book. So I think if the first book wasn't a thing, I probably had given it 1 star because it just felt so badly written. The dialogue, I understand that we should allow ourselves to cringe. Cringe is important because you should be yourself. That's how you find creativity and happiness and all that stuff. But there were moments like, how is it that you fell backwards in your writing style? Like, Better Than the Movies was written so beautifully at times. With that said, let's move on to my favorite books of the year. I'm going to do mostly 4 and 5 star books. If there are some 3-star books that I still think about to this day, and even though maybe they weren't written, because sometimes my 3-star books are books that are pretty good, but aren't may not be written perfect, or have like a part of the book that falls flat, or they kind of just feel like a Christmas movie where I love it, I'll remember it forever, but it wasn't incredible. We'll start from in order. Book number 1 was Just Last Night by Marley McFarlane, and that one I gave a 4.25 star on, and that was an audiobook, and I honestly really enjoyed this book. Her writing was a little bit of something to get used to, but once I got into the lane of what was happening, I did enjoy it. There was a lot of moments of grief. Honestly, it was a good first impression, so I think I may for sure be checking out another book of hers. Also, I'm trying not to do any spoilers, so if it feels like it's lackluster of a review, it's because I'm trying to give you guys some books that I liked, but also give you not too much information so that you can go check them out yourself. Even if the ones I disliked, maybe you'll love them. Book number 2 for me was Dreadful by Caitlin Rozankis, and I gave that 4 stars, and it was a physical read for me, and honestly, it was so fun. It was a cozy kind of Dungeons and Dragons kind of feel at times. Imagine if you woke up in the body of a evil wizard. Like, what would you do? Book 3, which was The Villa by Rachel Hawkins, I gave that 4.75 stars, and honestly, I flew through this book. It was a physical book, and I really enjoyed it. I did not not expect to enjoy this book as much as I did. It was book 5, which was better than the movies, which was a 5-star read for me. And honestly, I loved this story. It felt like To All the Boys I've Loved Before, but then it just felt refreshed and new, and it had a cute storyline, and I really enjoyed it. And it did deal with grief as well, but it was good. And then book 6 was The 7 Year Slip by Ashley Poston, and it was an audiobook, and it was 5 stars for me. I love this book. I love the idea of how you can slip between 7 years, and how it's like magical realism, and it's still like a romance to a degree, but it's still such a sweet read. And honestly, if you take anything, that's a book you should read. I really enjoyed it. I know some people don't like it, and I genuinely am very surprised because I loved it. Book 7 was The Night We Lost Him by Laura Dave, and that was a physical book. I gave it 5 stars, and honestly, this was it's a very calm thriller. Most people, when they read thrillers, they're expecting to be bombarded, blockbustered, intensely smacked in the face with stuff, but this is such a soft read, and I liked it. The landscapes were incredible. The details of the atmosphere and like the world building, like the way that their world looked was so beautiful, like the way it was described, and I was picturing these beautiful houses and buildings, and I loved it. But also, as you're unwrapping the life of this person, Emily's father, who is a lot deeper than we actually thought, I just really loved it, so I enjoyed it. Book number 9 is The Favorites by Lane Fargo. I gave this 5 stars, and it's an audiobook. This one I absolutely loved. I need to pick this up to put it on my shelf, and because I also would want to read it again, and I honestly loved this book. I know it was a retelling from an older book that I actually did not end up liking, but I love the way she went about it, and so I had such a good time. It doesn't help that I also figure skated when I was younger, and so I was hooked. I love figure skating, and I love figure skating drama, so yes. The next book was Pariah by Dan Abnett. It was a physical book, and I gave it 5 stars. This was a Warhammer book, and I got a really cool special edition book that I know I haven't stopped yapping about, but I love this book. It brought me into the Warhammer world. It's a very easy entry point if you've been wanting to read in the Warhammer world, and I really enjoyed the storyline. It was a very strong female character. In this world that is depressing and sad, this book is still pretty light, and I really enjoyed it. I really want to read the second book, but Black Library, aka the Warhammer Publishing Company, please make your books available longer. Why do you only make them available for like this little so that scalpers can just resell it? Rant over. The next was book 11, which was Unspeakable by Jessica Willis Fisher. This was an audiobook, and I gave it 5 stars. This was a memoir that literally sits with me to this day. She is an incredible, iconic, amazing writer. She also read this book, and it was so well done. I love this, and I love seeing her perspective on the world and how strong she is, and chills to think about this book. So if another one where you should really read this. The next book is book 13, which was Severance by Ling Ma. This was a 5-star book for me, and it was a physical book, and honestly, this was a 9 to 5 apocalypse in a way, and I honestly really loved it. A lot of people talked about how this was a slow read, and honestly, I think I love this pace at which it was at, and how it broke down their world, and how if you're all about work, and how if work consumes you, how the apocalypse would throw down for you. And honestly, I loved this book. I still think about it, and these are all, a lot of these 5 stars, like if I say 5 stars, I'm willing to read this book again. Some of my 4 stars as well, I'll read this book again. Think about it. Apocalypse, 9 to 5, work culture. That's really insane and like really chaotic. Next book was book 16 for me, and it was The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. This was my first Kristen Hanna book, and I gave it a 5-star, and it was a physical read, and I was devastated. I can't wait to watch the movie. I can't wait to read more of her books, and I will very much be rereading this book the moment I need another heartbreak, because I feel so heavily about this book. And I also would reread this to my partner every other time. When I got to a point that was insane, I would read that part of that book to him out loud. So he also feels heavily about this book. The next book is book 20, which was Demon Copperhead by Barbara Kingsolver, which was a physical book for me, and it was a 5-star read. This was an insane read. This was a beautiful love letter to the Appalachia from Ms. Barbara Kingsolver, who was giving a retelling of one of the older books, and I absolutely loved it. I love the fact that honestly, this is actual devastation written well. This is a world of sadness written well. And I love this book. Do be wary if you read this, it is darker. Some of these books are dark, so also do be wary when you see some of these books. But that was an incredible read that I am so happy I checked out. The next book is book 22, which is Small Things Like These by Claire Keegan. And that was a 5-star and it was an audiobook. And honestly, I love Claire Keegan. I think she has now become one of my favorite authors. I also read her other book, which was The Foster, and both books were incredible. One dealt with what happens when religion becomes the bad guy, basically, and the other book was basically about a girl who was fostered during the summer before her large family added a new family member. And honestly, that one hit close to home and I felt for it. I still think about both of these books to this day because they were so incredible. And so I can't wait to read more of her books. Also, I missed one, which was book 21, Death of an Author by Nnedi Okorafor. And it was an audiobook and I gave it 5 stars. Honestly, if you want a book that's throwing a lot at you, that feels insane and is so good, that's Death of the Author. It has 2 books in one. You're talking about a science fiction book, but then you're also talking about the actual, like the author to that book's like world. And it's so insane. Like I flew through this book, but it was so insane to read passages of the book, like the story of the robots, like rusted robots, but then also to read parts of the author that was in that book and how it's such an incredible read. Like we have so much we're dealing with image, with, disability, with feeling more than what you are and what the world says you are. And it's insane. Go read it. It's incredible. The next one is book 23, Anxious People by Frederick Bachman. This was a physical book and it was a 5-star read for me. And honestly, I love Frederick Bachman now. I loved this book. I think it held anxiety and I heard that it's going to be an actual movie. And so I can't wait to see this as a film. It's gonna give the same energy as Now You See Me, I feel like, and so I'm super excited to see that. And I'm also really excited to check out some of his older work because I really liked his writing style. So the next was book 25, which was Where the Past Begins by Amy Tan, and I gave this a 4.75 star. It was a physical. This would be a 5-star book if it wasn't for that one chapter about music, and that is the chapter that I have seen that a lot of people DNF this book at because they just couldn't with how long that chapter was. And please just stick with it and read past that and read the next chapters after that because this book is so action-packed. Her life is insane. I'm so in shock of how insane of a life Amy Tan has had that it was insane. I flew through this book and I'm so excited to read some of her backlog because she is insanely well written and I can't believe that her life is actually this way. So insane. The next book was a book that I enjoyed was Crazy Rich Asians, was book 27. It was a 4.75 star. It was a physical book by Kevin Kwan. I loved the movie a lot, and so to read the book I was just so excited and it felt pretty close to what the actual movie was, and so I just kind of pictured a lot of the actors in these parts and it just felt like a continuation of seeing all these characters, so I felt really happy seeing it. Which was book 29, which was one star romance by Laura Hankin. That was a 4-star read for me and it was a library audiobook. Honestly, I really enjoyed this book. I liked the idea of like not liking romance because I don't vibe with romance, so I really enjoyed that part of it. And so it was a very cute read, but also it had some serious notes. And book 30 is The Manicurist's Daughter by Susan Louis. This was a library audiobook and I gave it 4.75 stars. And honestly, this was an incredible memoir. It was about Susan Louis' life and I loved it. I still think about it to this day. Like I will go get my nails done and I'll think about her and her life and her parents and their life. And also like she brought up some really good arguments in this book and I really, really, really enjoyed it. And I don't want to spoil it for anybody else. So if you feel like I'm coming up short in these books, yappings, is because I don't want to accidentally spoil the good part, but it was so good. 32 was In the Lives of Puppets by TJ Klune, and this was a 4.75 star. For me, it was a physical book, and honestly, this felt like cozy dystopian. I didn't know that was a possibility, but it was, and like, it was cozy, it was comfortable in a tone, but then there were moments where there was some dystopia energy, and so it was dark at times, and this was actually like a pretty good read. I really enjoyed it. Next read, I'm gonna put them all together, which is the Poppy War trilogy. 5 stars all around. It was library audiobooks. It was by R.F. Kuang, and I started reading R.F. Kuang for the first time this year, and I absolutely love her. She was 5 stars all around. Her writing is insane. Her characters are insane. Her strong female characters are insane. I love the series. I bought Calabasas, and so I'm super hyped to read the rest of her books and some of her backlogs. So hyped. The next book, book 38, Say You'll Remember Me, 4.25 stars, library audiobook by Abby Jimenez. And Abby Jimenez's Just for the Summer was a 5-star read for me. It actually is what got me into romance. And this one was good, but not as good as Just for the Summer. There were some things that felt a little fast for me. I feel like she tried really hard to get this book out in a year, and that's why it felt certain moments don't feel as fully flesh as Just for the Summer, but I still loved it, and it was still cute, and I liked it. It was fun. Promised Land by Barack Obama. This was a 4.5 star book for me. It was a physical book, and honestly, I just miss someone in charge that is an intellectual, who knows how to write a sentence, is well spoken, intelligent. Let's move on. Book 45, Love and Other Conspiracies by Mallory Marlowe. It was a library audiobook. This was a 4-star read for me. This would have been a 5, almost 6-star read for me if it wasn't for the spice. Maybe if I reread this book, I'll like it more. Just like spice is just weird for me. I think that's because even when spice shows in a movie or in a show that I'm watching, I get really uncomfortable. And I think that's a me problem. So it's not that spice. I'm not going to yuck your yum. I have my own uncomfortable moments, and you know what I like, you may not like, and what you like, I may not like. And so, but this is a moment where Love and Other Conspiracies, I just really love the book, and it would have been even better for me if it didn't have spice, but I still liked it a lot. I still think about it. The next book is book 48, which was Beach Reads by Emily Henry. This was a 4-star book, and it was a physical book, and this was my first Emily Henry read, and I enjoyed it. It dealt with grief. It dealt with a beach town, and I liked it. I liked the small town. I liked the vibes. I like the people in it, so I'm excited to check out some of her other books. Okay, so this one's going to be a special mention, which is Hume by Helen Phillips. This one was a 3.25 star, and it was a library physical book, and this one was my 52nd read, and honestly, I really liked it. It was a 3-star read because at times I was like, wow, spice dystopian in the same world, okay, and there are some elements like I still think about, like the fact of like the vacation element, the world, the way the surveillance, the way of ads, the way of, I don't know, it's just, there's a lot of things about it that's very Black Mirror-esque, and I still really like it. And so this one is a special mention of like, I really enjoyed it. It was pretty good. And honestly, the fact that it was on the library shelf and it wasn't like on hold or checked out by someone, that's insane. Okay. The next book is book 55, which is The Body Keeps the Score by Bessel van der Lok, MD. That was a 5-star. It was a physical book. And honestly, this one I really enjoyed. In the sense of the fact that like I'm dealing with my own therapy journey, my own happiness journey, and this really helped in the sense of my therapy and understanding like why the brain does what it does. You know, if you ever have been curious, I think it's a really well done book that has its own humor, has its own storylines and understandings and way to make it not just textbooky. The next book is book 58, which is 0 stars, don't recommend, by MG Westmer. This one I gave 4.25 star. It was a library audiobook. This one, honestly, I had no thoughts about other than it looked kind of like a movie poster that I had seen. And honestly, I enjoyed it. It was really fun. It was really silly, really fun. It felt like a movie. It was really interesting to see the way they turned this whole story and how the twist of what happened ended up happening. This was just such an insane ride. So I'm not going to tell you more other than the fact that imagine going on vacation and you had some world-ending vibes. That's it. Book 59, which is 107 Days by Kamala Harris. And this was a library audiobook, and I give it 5 stars. And honestly, I've yapped so much about this book and about how much I love this book and about how retelling what happened along her campaign trail and how easy she made it to read. And so 5 star, incredible. 61 for me, Anita de Monte Laughs Last by Sochi Gonzalez. This was a physical book, and this was a 5-star book. I had a reading slump for the longest, and I was struggling on actually picking up reading and reading again. And when I started reading Anita de Monte, after I got past the first 40 pages, I was hooked. I was hyped. I flew through this book and the story was insane. And so honestly, it's an incredible story of two generations of Latina women in spaces where can have some discomfort and you just see their strength. There's a lot of trigger warnings, so beware, but it's incredible, amazing. And so we're hitting the home stretch here. The next book is book 64, which is a physical book, and it was a 4.5-star read, and it was Wayward by Amelia Hart. This was an insane read. 3 generations of women in 3 different times. 16 something, 1942 ish, and then 2019. I just read it. I really like it, but I'm really bad with years. But it's 3 generations. One is during the witch trials, another one is during World War II, and the other one is during it's 3 generation of women who are connected by their family name. And it all has witches at the forefront. Like, one is being tried as a witch, the other one, they're basically like, to be a witch was to be kind of insane. Therefore, like, they kept talking about how her mother was insane and how, like, you don't want to be like her. And then the last one is like, hey, your family were witches. And so now she's having to break down from that. And it has a lot of dark tones, but it's an incredible, amazing read. So I'd say check it out if it sounds good to you, because she's so well written, and I'm super excited to read some of her next books. Book 67, which is Nobody's Girl by Virginia Roberts Giuffre, and it is a library audiobook, and it was a 5-star read for me. This book was insane. It was amazing. I was heartbroken. I was shattered. I felt so heavily for her. I'm so sorry that she's no longer around, because she has been such a strong moving factor against a certain horrible group of individuals. This is literally one of the best reads for me of the year, and if anything, you should very much check this out. And the last read so far for me that I've finished is book 68, which is How to Survive a Horror Story by Mallory Arnold. This is a physical book, and I give it a 4.25 stars, and this is Clue on steroids when it comes down to it being horror-esque. And I love Clue. I love anything love Clue. I love whodunits, and literally to a degree, this is this book. And I think I will very much be reading this around Halloween in the correct time intended, because I think this is going to be a very fun Halloween book. This has been some of my favorites and least favorites of 2025. What am I reading right now? It's actually The Ring, and it's the translation from Koji Suzuki, and it's translated by Robert B. Balmer and Glenn Wally. And so I'm 40 pages in. Super excited to get through this and see how it differentiates from the film, since I love the film. And so I'm super hyped to keep reading this. Hopefully I can finish it by the end of the year, because I have some goals to hit. But yeah, I just wanted to yap with you guys about this. Have we read any of the same books? Do you feel the same way I do? Do you feel different? What are your thoughts? And honestly, this was an incredible year of reading yet. I said it last year, but it's even more honest this year. I read so many books, and it would be really cool to do like some kind of book club. If any of you guys actually want to do it, it'd be cool. But if not, I still want to talk about books. But let me know your thoughts, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.